Good morning. Hello. Another day has arrived. Thought I would take a little bit of time and just let you all know what I have planned in store for this new year. Still a little bit of an adjustment because I'm still calling it 2015 at times. I've even caught myself writing 2015. So hopefully that'll get resolved and situated over the next few weeks. But if you haven't already been welcomed or if you have missed out, it's officially 2016 and there are nothing but good things ahead for myself, my friends, my family, everything. As a matter of fact, looking to spend a little bit of time with some of my family today. Had some family come over yesterday, and that was very helpful and very uplifting. So that worked out pretty good. Um, I I can't really sit and say, well, here's what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to go, how I'm going to go about doing it. The simplest way that I can put it is that I've taken a lot of time to really sit and realize that last year and even the year before, my most consistent trend was that I put a lot of things off. So that's going to end effective today. Um, the first and most important thing that I really would like to get accomplished is that I really and truly plan on getting my brand established. So, for a few of my friends who do follow my page on Facebook, I do have a Facebook like page because I have my main profile, which is my stuff that is just random and venting and talking and stuff like that. But then I also have a page that is dedicated to what I potentially plan on doing in the future in regards to live streaming. Yeah, you heard right. I really and truly do plan on live streaming on Twitch. I've had my capture card for it's been over a little over a year now, and I've used it a few times, but nothing has actually been posted online. So I'm hoping to change that between actually having some published, shared posts along with getting the software and the setup for it crisp enough where it'll be literally an enjoyable experience for myself and for my viewers. So I'm looking to get that done this year. Um, I've, as you can see, I'm doing my second post and my second as I called it podcast. A funny story, random, but it was kind of cool. I was telling one of my coworkers, I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking at doing a podcast," and she was like, "What was a podcast?" I was like, and she was in the midst of telling her, she went on Google, looked it up, and it's that moment where, and to define it, because a lot of people do hear these or listening to these and like, well, what made you want to do podcasts and why aren't you doing YouTube? And the simplest answer I can give is with YouTube, YouTube has its perks to vlogging, but not everybody can do the sit down vlog. Now, a few years ago, oh, I would hook the camera up, sit in front of the camera, and go to town and post all day. Now it's kind of that freelance. Okay, I feel like doing it today. I guess I'll sit down and do a vlog here and there. But you got to make sure everything's, excuse me, the way you want it to be. And one of the biggest factors to doing YouTube is lighting, even with live streaming. And that's why I've really been slow at doing live streaming, is that I want to make sure if I have a stream set up that it's going to be enjoyable and I'm going to get the most out of doing the live stream. So I've thought of those things as well. Um, so I have those goals or those aspirations or plans that I'd like to work on this year. As I mentioned earlier, my blog has been pretty minimal, and I don't blame anybody for it. It's all on me for that. So I truly and honestly plan to do a lot more posting of thoughts, meaning, and it's kind of similar to what I did a few days ago, whereas I did a blog on depression. I came on here, talked about depression, talked about anxiety, posted a blog that kind of went into my personal intake of what I was doing, and kind of made that as, hey, if you want to listen to it, you have the listening option. If you want to read about it, you have the reading option. So that's gonna be what occurs with this post as well, because listening to these also helps me become more understanding of what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I can improve on. Um, because I was random story as usual. I did my last podcast and literally I listened to it like right afterward, and you would have thought I had the most exciting kid at a candy store moment from just seeing the fact that it came out with a much better quality than my first one. Because my first one sounded like I was in another room. Like it was my first time ever doing this. Didn't have a clue what was going on. But then you got to also factor in it was my first time doing this. I had a clue what was going on, but I didn't really do much of a test or a trial run to see, okay, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Things of that sort. So now I have a more grounded foundation on how to get these going. And I think the other advantage to it, most of all, is I don't feel like I have to rush to share them. I kind of can share it and present it at my pace. So there are those factors as well. And one of my biggest things too, while I'm speaking on this before, because I'm segueing and kind of using this as my cop out, then I talk about my goals. But it was interesting because when I did mine, a friend of mine happened to listen to it, and she was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna work on getting mine going," and I'm like, "Okay." So she had me listen to one that she did, and it things like that is what moves me and what motivates me to like really get things going, because you never know, somebody may have a topic or a discussion that they want to do, but they just need to see that, okay, it can be done and it's not really as hard as it seems. Like doing this, it, the nicest or the mildest way to say it is it's hard, but it's not hard. And I say it that way because it's hard because you have to really think of, like for me, for instance, when I'm doing these, I have to factor in, if I do this, I can get somebody who may expectedly come in, and then I got to be able to be sure that I can edit or take that piece or section out of the conversation, whatever the case may be. So those things come into play as well. Um, but beyond all of that, it's just you you're sometimes taught to just simplify everything that comes along the way. Um, but I truly and honestly feel like this is just something I was truly destined to do. And I've put it off and I've put it off and I've wondered why and wanted to see what I should have been doing. And now I'm not as concerned about it anymore. Um, I'm sitting here and I guess I'm using like the new Spreaker Studio app, which that's built on what you can download on your computer. Shameless plug, sorry. But it's interesting because I can remember first doing this, and it was like you could hear so much static and background noise, and now it's like all you hear is me. I've literally got it set up where my TV's off. I mean, the TV's here, but it's not like turned on, so you can hear Twitch in the background. Unless I inadvertently touch something, or if I'm on my computer doing whatever, then you hear all of those things. But it's focusing on what I want to, what I'm trying to share with my viewers. So putting all that aside, those are a few things that I want to work on. Um, the biggest and the most immediate task that I have been called to do, that I have put off and was supposed to have done years ago, but due to circumstances but also thanks to reality and just how life is, I've now got the option of working on the website for my church. And I can't speak for anybody else, but that's a huge task, let alone a humbled honor to achieve. Because I haven't done a website, honestly, since I did my own personal page back in 2007. And even with that, it was already managed for me. But with this site, it shouldn't be too bad. It just mainly comes down to buying it, getting the ball rolling, getting things prepared, telling everyone, hey, this is what I need, things of that sort. So that's in my queue of tasks to achieve this year, to mainly have the site up, have it maintained, get a bit of a consistent flow going with that, and just let it be what it's going to be. Um, Another thing that I really want to work on this year is expanding within the community, and that's probably a very broad topic, but it's a very achievable task that I really wanted to just focus on, because I know that there are things and events and programs that I've wanted to do, but I've used every excuse of, oh, I can't do it because of this, or I'm missing out because of that, or just things that I've found as a way of just saying I want to do it, when in reality I could have been doing this. I, going back to the whole live streaming, one of my tasks that I plan to have achieved this year is I want to get my streaming comfortable enough where I'm doing it first, on my own by myself, can kind of set everything up, get it going, rolling, whatever the case may be. And then if it really expands and pushes the way I want it to, then I want to just be able to say, you know what, here's my here's an event that I'm having. And I've mentioned this to a few people, so I guess I may as well share it with you all. One of my biggest events or charities that I would like to get accomplished, and anybody who's listening to this, advice, suggestions, recommendations are all greatly embraced with this, is I would like to do gaming against domestic violence. Whether I do it in Richmond, whether I do it in Norfolk, Hampton, Tower, wherever, I want to do this event, because I've been looking at this event in my mind and really wanting to plan it out. I just need to literally stop using excuses and just do it. So I have that on my agenda this year as well. Employment wise, I really want to sit down and legitimately put pieces into place as to where I look to be within the company, because I don't see me, point blank, I don't see me leaving. I truly and honestly, whether anybody understands it or not, and most of my friends who either are going to listen to this or can relate, that get a chance to hear my stories and stuff, will tell you that I tell them a lot of things and they're like, no, that didn't happen. No, it happened. It's real. I couldn't you can't make up half of the stuff that you go through. Like working, before I was at Home Depot, yeah, I went through things here and there. It is what it is. Working at the U, I went through my little fair share of, you can't make this up. But as I called it, the new you in the gas station life was crazy. That was an eye-opening experience in itself. The V with pushing patients, same thing. But I just think this kind of just takes the cake, because you educate yourself in some jobs and doing different things, true. But with this, it's caused me to become a better banker being at the CO. and I'm doing, and I'm sorry. Let me go back because I know a lot of y'all like, what's the U, what's the V, what's the CO. I gave away the other one because usually I call them THD, but um, from personal experience, I've realized it's a lot better for me to just say initials than to say actual names. One, not to place credit towards a company, but two, and most importantly, to kind of almost cordially keep it confidential and not have it where you're saying something about someone that doesn't need to be publicly said, if that's a good way to put it. So I'm it's part of growth, it's part of maturity, and it's part of an okay, to go back, and I'm telling this story to kind of tie into everything, and it's just me kind of killing time a little bit too. Previously, I worked at U-Haul. I'll say the name because now it's kind of long behind me, but it's the main establishment of what causes. My blog was my worst enemy at that time because I decided to go on my page and make a few statements that were very inappropriate. They weren't inappropriate as in them being rude or like destroying the company as a whole. And I think this is kind of what makes me understand my current job now at the CO, whereas one of the things they mention or emphasize is whether you're building a brand or whether you're destroying a brand. If you maintain a brand, hey, you're doing your job. If you're building the brand, you're pushing it to make it a better company. I pretty much, in so many ways, mildly, no, I did make a lot of statements that could, in so many words, destroy a brand. I talked about how they were more loyal to customers and employees, things of that sort, and it just was a mistake in the making. I've learned from it. It obviously cost me my job at that time. It helps me now because when I talk to any of my friends about things, if they write stuff or they're mad, and I even did this with somebody before where I said, hey, if you think you are that upset about something, don't use social media as a place to vent about it. And I even say that to this day now. Like, that's one of my biggest things that is a huge pet peeve of mine. If you're not happy with your job, who isn't? Like, we all go through that phase, but don't let social media be the place to like let loose on certain things. Like, I laugh and I make certain comments, but you'll never hear about it on my page. At the most, I may say silly things sideways, but not directly about this person did da, 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 and they did no. Stop. Let me help you out here. It's not the way to do it. So those things are important to look at, segueing way off course from the goals. I really want to maintain and build myself as a person within almost messed up within the CO. Sorry, um, and just improve as a person overall. I want to build a better relationship with many of my friends. I know a lot of my friends this year, last year, saw me and heard from me, but there wasn't enough interaction. And I really and honestly apologize to anyone who's encountered that because I want to do better with that by far. Um, Plainly speaking, no one deserves that. I feel as though I want to be there for those who have been there for me. One of my friends, I won't say names, based on my personal history and personal situation, that was one of the first people who literally I felt safe discussing everything with, and it was hard to even open my mouth to bring that whole thing up at the time, but they were right there, open arms, still like bond no other to this day. But I think it's like you can't disregard or can't disown what happened. I even had somebody who I talked to yesterday who it looked like my situation touched him to not do the stupid things that I did. And I'm like, that's what life is about. If you see a mistake made by someone else, you don't want to do that exact same mistake, because then that's just you repeating the pattern. You want to, like, I think that, and this is kind of going to be my closing, but it's also going to kind of be my truest statement in this whole thing. If you're not making an effort to reinvent the wheel, then leave the wheel alone. I know I'm giving you like a major white noise, but I'm doing it for a reason, because I really want you to think about what I'm saying. You should be making every effort to reinvent the wheel where deemed necessary, because there are some moments that it's better for you to do something more improved to enhance or literally simplify the process than to make it more chaotic than it should be. Like, you can enhance something and still have it be simple. Yes, that is possible. I know some of my friends are going to say, that's a little different, isn't it? No, it's not. But sit and really look at things you've gone through and how you've made that small extra step to improve upon something, and then realize in the long haul it was what was needed all along to make it a better process or a better situation. So I have those things that I'm working on. I personally look to get back into my own again. I've really been pushing to get that plan in order as to whatever I need to do to fix whatever amended ties I have with others. I just know it's time for me to build myself. I made attempts to build myself, but I wasn't doing it. I was doing it in pieces. And as most of my friends have heard me call it, it's a methodical madness. That hasn't changed. It won't be changing anytime soon. And yeah, it's not changing anytime soon. But I really and truly just think that if I'm going to do anything, now is the time to do it. I wrote about this last year in the year review, and I'm carrying it into this year. And actually, it's funny because I had to do a speech yesterday for some of our new hires who have officially graduated. And the number one thing that I was presented to share with others, and it applies to me, is take ownership. Take ownership, be accountable, accept things. A few years ago, and this is, a lot of my friends will probably hear this and laugh, and I personally am not bothered by it because I'm so not acknowledged that I've been bothered by it anymore, is I grew to accept that my hair was like, I've been cutting my own hair now for, this is 2016, about 5 or 6 years. Best savings, best investment, simplest savings in the world. As I was cutting my hair, and as I've done it, when it grows, you get that man, as we call it, the man patch, where you got the hair that's just sitting there in the front chilling, and then you got these little spaces on the side that's like, hey, this is the cutoff of growth. It's time for you to accept. And I've accepted so well with it that I just, when I cut it, I'm like, it's not even like it exists. And when it grows, it's like, okay, it is what it is. It's not like I'm, oh my God, I can't function. It's hair. I've grown to own it. I've grown to accept it, but I also fix it. But I'm not fixing it where I'm doing something where I'm gonna try to plug patches or put stuff. That's neither here nor there. But to each his own. So accept who you are. Own up to what you want. Build. I strongly emphasize on the term build because I feel like we want to build, but we don't know how to build. Because instead of us taking a few blocks and putting those blocks down and then working on those, we're like, we want to put everything down and get things going. So those are my tasks that I leave you that I think can help you either come up with a plan or generate a plan. Like I said, I've stated everything that I can now, but I do want. I'm gonna do my blog still. My blog will probably be more detailed than this, but this is just kind of my verbal outlet, and I think it will help get others to understand that if you want to do something, you can do it. And that's the other thing. I'm like, I'm supposed to mention some other things. It was like, there's acceptance, ownership, and most of all, and this is what I wrote about in my blog and in my year in review. This is before the year in review, excuse me. We need to learn to get out of our own way. If there's something that's stopping you from doing something, if it's out of your control, I fully understand. But if it's something you can control, move it. If you got to get it, okay. Easiest example, I'm running close on time, don't care, because I'm me. Um, if you're if you're looking to go somewhere, you have your keys, you have your car. Getting in your own way means you didn't want to take a shower, you don't want to get up and put clothes on, but yet you want to go somewhere. Move those things out of the way that's stopping you from getting that accomplished. Go take a shower. Put on, get your toiletries lifestyle and get together. Get in the car with the keys and go do what you gotta do. We sometimes have a tendency to make things more than what they are, and it's unnecessary. So I leave you with the getting out of your own way, but most of all, simplify. Simplify, simplify. Manage, maintain a few things that you have, and don't put more on you than you have to. Sometimes you'll feel like you're doing a lot, but if you really look at it, there are some who are doing way more than you and have the health blockage that you don't even have in your path. So I hope you all enjoyed listening to this. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to be doing, but all I can say is I'm having fun doing it, and I feel as though somebody needs a message. Somebody needs something that needs to be heard. I've realized that it's an across the board thing with me. As I'm wrapping this up, we sometimes have a tendency where, okay, we want to write everything. Like I've been guilty of. I want to sit and write it out by hand. Then I've been sitting and I've looked at it and I'm like, I have a laptop. I have sources to find things. Why don't I just start writing it on my blog? So I'm working on that more, to just get into my blogging zone and just tone it out the world, shut it down for a second, and just blog. So that's been working for me. And now with my daily verse readings between my Bible app and then our daily bread, I finally done audio listening, which is the best thing in the world. I think I'm pushing to possibly start doing audiobooks. We'll see. But that's just kind of in a hindsight, down the road type ordeal. So I'm going to close out with that. Use your resources. And that last part counts for me literally in learning to simplify. And I hope you all enjoyed listening. Be on the lookout for the blog soon. Again, bright82.wordpress.com. If you are following me on my various social media outlets, these podcasts are being posted on SoundCloud, so if you'd like to check them out there, I have them there as well. But until next time, this is BT signing out. Y'all take it easy, all right? Peace.